forget what you've heard about Vietnam. Let's find out what it's really like.
Imagine an economy that, in the span of a few decades, catapulted from one of the poorest in Asia to a growth rate of 8.02% in 2022, outpacing even the giants like India and China. This isn't a hypothetical scenario. It's the reality of Vietnam. With a GDP per capita that increased nearly tenfold from under $300 in the 1980s to $2,800 in 2020.
I'm here in the beautiful economic capital of Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, a place I have spent a large part of my life and some pivotal years, definitely. And I'm proud to bring to you today one of our newest clients, Scott. He is from the South, so he has come here to bring Christ to Ho Chi Minh City because we all know that they're all evangelicals down there. No, but he's here. He's here. He's teaching English. He just started teaching English. So today we're going to talk a lot about like his first few experiences, his experience working with us for the service. And we have a seasoned vet here, Uncle Hollywood of the Ho Chi Minh City public school system. He is going to contribute in his own special way. I want to remind everybody that this video is brought to you by Safetywing. What's up, guys? I'm in Mysore, India. I'm chilling with this cow here. If this cow were to give me mad cow disease, I would want to have health insurance. And if you're going to live as an expat, you're going to want to have health insurance too. He's either biting me or licking me. He's licking me. Aw, hello.
It's so cute.
See, if I get sick from touching this cow, I want to have health insurance, right? So Safetywing is a good health insurance for people like me who travel around the world and live in interesting places. I'm covered. If I get sick in India, at least I got health insurance. Safetywing is designed for people who move around and who travel. So it's the perfect health insurance for people who live our kind of lifestyle. So without further ado, I want to start off the video by kind of just getting to know you. Where do you come from originally?
So originally I'm from the South, like you said, Alabama, small town in Alabama, Birmingham. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to a large city in Atlanta, Georgia. And I lived there for about 10 years before I came here.
So most of your life has been in the South?
Yeah, in the South, yeah. Mm-hmm. I've traveled a lot, but lived in the South mostly. Yeah.
Have you lived overseas before?
Nope.
So this is the first time living in like a developing country?
Yep.
That's interesting. Well, how do you make of it?
I love it so far.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's been great. It's not a whole lot different. You know, some areas are very different. Some areas are very similar to, the U.S.
What inspired you to go to Asia suddenly?
So I always wanted to live overseas, right? And after looking about, what would potentially be the easiest to get into or, what would have the most opportunity, I settled on Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good place to work. It's inexpensive to live.
Yeah, oh, yes, that too. Yeah, the cost of living is very much, it's very better here.
So you find it's cheaper than Atlanta?
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Like maybe at least an eighth less,
What does like a budget look like for you since you got here?
So I have an apartment. It's a studio. It's well furnished. It's a really beautiful apartment. It's like, in US dollars, it's like $380 a month.
Okay.
I rent a motorbike that's like $50, $60 a month. Mm-hmm. And then, everything else is included in the apartment, just electricity, that's crazy cheap. And then food and stuff like that. Maybe I spend $5 on food a day mm-hmm. for all my meals. Maybe, if I decide to go to like a more restaurant chain, it's, like 10, maybe 20 if I'm mm-hmm. really splurging. But, it's very affordable.
Yeah, I feed two people for $10 normally at a good sit-down restaurant here.
Yeah.
Ho Chi Minh's pretty cheap. It's still one of the more expensive cities in Southeast Asia. Like I would say Ho Chi Minh City is probably like 40 to 50% more expensive than like most of the rest of Vietnam. Mm-hmm. Especially if we're talking about real estate. I mean, maybe food is like 30% more, things like that. But I still find that Vietnam, anywhere you go in general, is like a lot cheaper than Cambodia. I think it's cheaper than Thailand too, because even though Thailand condos are very cheap, like you get a much nicer apartment in Thailand for less money. Like when you want to start talking about like food, if you don't want to like eat like low quality, like oily food all the time, it can get kind of expensive up there. Whereas here you can eat like a nice sit down restaurant and really not spend much money here.
Yeah. The food's amazing here too. It's just everywhere I've been. It just tastes so much. It tastes a lot more fresh, I guess you could say, in a certain way. It tastes well prepared and everything.
How'd you find us?
So literally, when I first made the decision to move to Southeast Asia, I started looking through Facebook, Instagram, and like TikTok, and I ended up looking at an expat group on Facebook for Vietnamese and Southeast Asia, and came across some people who recommended you.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. So then I looked into
it. Was him.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Probably,
yeah.
Probably.
So I looked into it. Everything looked pretty legit. The reviews looked pretty good, and we had our first conversation.
Yeah, cool. And it worked out well for you, man.
It did. It worked out great.
Well, how quickly did we get you a job?
Let's see. I think less than a month.
Yeah. And I remember I was trying to tell you not to agree to anything until you came.
Yeah, exactly.
You see why now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But it's always better to sit across the table from someone.
Yeah, exactly. I was a little hesitant at first because, over in the West, like you want to have your job and then you want to, live there. But then once I arrived, I saw what you're, talking about. It's just so much better to, be able to meet.
Oh, yeah.
The security is there because there's just the numbers or the amount of opportunities here is just so great.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities here. There's a lot of charlatans here too, but there's also, there is people who are good, and I guess that's where we're very helpful, is kind of connecting you to a large network and made it a little bit easier, places to stay, things like that. That's great, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm always really happy when I hear that. And that's one of the nice things about this business, is that you get to help people experience new things, change their life. And I get to cut apart the TEFL industry, which is trying to charge like $2,000 for like a piece of paper.
That costs $10.
So Hollywood, and you've been teaching out here in the Ho Chi Minh City public school system for 5 years. Has your TEFL ever been questioned?
Never.
And how much did you pay for your TEFL?
$25.
Okay.
It was for 150 hours.
Right.
But it costs more to get an extra copy than it did to pay for the TEFL.
My girl, she paid $9 for her TEFL.
Yeah, I went on a site, and they had a coupon for it, and it was like, so I signed up for it. I could have went $18 and got 120 hours, but I figured, shoot, for $25, get 150.
A lot of the people in the social media groups around this topic are very toxic, kind of gatekeepers, narcissists. So there are people who will prey on you, and I like the fact that we're kind of like, undercutting them and just telling people the truth. And like,
well, that's what you want, the truth, right?
I mean, I feel the same. I feel like, most of my clients are adults and that they can make their own decisions. They just need the information and they need the network. And I think I feel a pretty valuable service. Okay, talk to me, man. What's it like? When did you start teaching officially?
So I officially started last Friday. So far, it's been great. Friday was a very relaxed day. We just kind of did introductions and stuff like that. And then yesterday and today, I had, I think yesterday I had like 2 hours of teaching. And then today I had like 5. So it's, very laid back. The hours are great. I have plenty of time to do the teach as well as do other things that I enjoy too. So overall, it's been a great experience.
Oh, I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Not like America where you're just busting your butt all day.
No, not like that.
150 hours a month, and you're like, damn, my rent's what, $3,000? And then you come here, work 90 hours a month, and you're like, oh, my rent's like $260.
Yeah, exactly. Even working,
so much less stress.
Yeah, exactly. So even working about 20 hours a week, I still my salary to cost ratio is still much better here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And what you're spending on food and everything, it doesn't even, you might make a little bit more in America, but you're catching it up with rent and food and transportation and all that stuff.
Just be responsible, because there's no 401k here.
True.
There's no social safety net. You need to have capital when you get older.
True.
Otherwise, health insurance is going to cost you like $300 a month, and and a lot of these things won't cover any pre-existing conditions, zero, right? So, I have a customer right now who's like debating on if he should retire in Southeast Asia, and I'm trying to help him work out whether or not that's the right move. We do hourly consulting, and he was telling me that he doesn't even think he's going to be able to afford it. And he worked as an English teacher in Saudi Arabia and all these places. He has some investments, of course, but at the end of the day, like, you're going to need to produce health insurance as you get older because the Vietnamese system is not going to treat you, you know, like, so, I mean, they could, like, if you're married, I think you could possibly get access to public hospitals if you pay social insurance. I'm not really sure. I'd have to check with my business partners, but I think it would not be ideal. You know what I mean? Like, you would want to go to private hospitals.
Some companies pay for your health insurance too.
They do, but when you're in your 60s and you're not going to be able to
retire,
you can't get a work permit. So, you know, it would be like either you would get some access to it through your partnership visa, but if not, you really need to have money put away. And that is the thing. I think people come out here and you see a lot of people who fuck around and it's a big party, but there is, you know, every once in a while, these stories that pop up on Facebook groups where you see some guy asking for money because this 70-year-old dude who's like shitting himself living in Vung Tau, you know what I mean, has no family, has no money, and they were like trying to get the U.S. Embassy to help get him back to the country or something. You know, there's a lot of things like that happen here.
Sure.
So, and I have friends who work for the U.S. consulate in Cambodia and stuff, and you know, it's just, I try to portray to you guys that you're coming to a developing country. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity here, but you do need to kind of think about your future and also be responsible. And like, you know, you can have a good life here. You can really, I turned my life around here. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
But I became a completely different person coming out here, and you can too. But you can also come out here and completely ruin your life. And you can do it pretty quickly. I've seen it. But so for your teaching experience, you've just started teaching. Tell us what that looks like for you in your situation.
So like an average day?
Yeah, so far from just
Okay. So my classes vary. So sometimes I have morning classes, so I'm, you know, up at 7, or I'm at school at 7 or so. Most of the classes are about 45 minutes long. They kind of alternate a little bit. Like I'll have one class and then it's maybe 9th grade. The next maybe 6th grade. But all of the lessons for the different grade, for each grade is consistent. Okay. So they give me lesson plans, right? And then I kind of add on as I see fit. And that, you know, translates across the whole week for the different grades that I teach. So that part is pretty straightforward. The classes, obviously with different people, are going to vary a pretty good bit. But overall, they all seem to be pretty well behaved. I mean, they want to learn for the most part, and their English is somewhat there. I'm able to communicate with them, and we're able to get things done.
Have you seen the TA, which means teacher's aide, mollywop a kid off a chair yet?
No,
Do you have a teacher aide?
I do not. Not yet. Not yet.
And how many kids?
It varies. So one class, I have like 15 kids, right?
Oh, wow.
And then another one, I have like 50 plus, and I'm bringing in tables and chairs from outside into the classroom to make room for them, you know? So it wildly varies right now.
Well, you're young and you're white, so you're going to be good. You know, if you were like, you know, 50, 60 years old, but fat, well, you're not fat. You're in your 50s, but you look good. You're young, you know? Like, there's a lot of guys who are in their 50s, they're fat, their teeth are fucking missing. Maybe the kids might not like them so much. But if you're like in your 30s or your 20s, you're white, I mean, this is what they want.
Sure.
You know, this is what the employers want. We just had a situation with a client. He's a Filipino American. And like literally we gave him the same advice that we gave to these other two clients who just started school. One is white British and white New Zealand. And they both did great. The schools loved them. He did the same exact thing in the school. And then they blew up on the recruiter who was doing me a favor to get him a job and started saying, he's a bad teacher. He doesn't know how to teach. But it's like grade 2. Like, what is there?
Right.
What is there to know? Like,
Like I held up the cards. Should I hold them up longer?
I said to her, I was like, listen, I've lived in this country. You've known me a long time. I was like, do you think it's possible they just don't like him because he looks Asian? She didn't respond to me. And then I said, well, is there any feedback I can give him to tell him that can make him better? No response.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, it is what it is. Like, this is the game. And, like, this is what happens, like, when people say, okay, you need to have a degree to work in Vietnam. Officially, that's true. But this is not a country where everything goes the way it's supposed to go officially. And it's not really any of your business how it happens as long as you get a work permit. That's kind of how I see it.
As long as you're legal.
You didn't do anything wrong. Somehow your school is able to get you a work permit. Okay, they said they can do it. You're not a lawyer, right? So these things happen. It's Vietnam. You know, you're not moving to Switzerland. If you wanted to move to Switzerland, you could do that. This is not Switzerland.
That's why I came here.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in a rich, developed Western country where the government is super controlling every aspect of your life. Don't get me wrong. It's not that the Vietnamese government doesn't want to control every aspect of your life. It's just that the technology is not there yet.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not. So here you're still a little bit free for at least the next maybe 10 years.
Like in America, there's a cop on every corner. Here, you rarely see
driving a
them. And
motorbike
if you
without
do, and they
license.
go to pull you over, just drive around them and keep going. They don't stop you.
So here it's interesting. Here the cops won't help you unless you pay them.
Yes.
They pull you over just to extort money from you. They don't do anything. They won't come if you need help or, you know, they're pretty useless. And then it's funny because in India, it's like kind of like the opposite. Like it's like that with the locals, but with the foreigner, if somebody does something to the foreigner, they'll like lynch them because they protect the foreigners because a lot of these cities rely heavily on tourism. Like I was in Mysore, and Mysore is a very tourist, like with yoga. So like they have police like stationed around the yoga area. And they're like, and one woman was actually explaining to us that like if a guy were to harass Michelle, tell the police, and then he would be treated very like rough by the police. So I was interesting because here in Vietnam, the cops wouldn't do a goddamn thing to help you.
You could be hammered and drunk off your mind. As long as you give them the money in your pocket, they'll let you go.
Yeah.
Man, I've seen some gnarly stuff living out here. But I'll say after being in India, I feel like I'm in Japan. I feel like it's a developed country. I've got 24-hour hot water. That's like something you really do take for granted.
Sure, I would imagine so. Yeah.
So I had a geyser which heats up your water in India, but in my apartment in the Himalayas, the geyser only heats the water for like 10 minutes. So you only get like a 10-minute shower. So like me and Mish would both have to shower because there's no like it's gonna take an hour for it to heat up again after you use it, you know. And then like there was one time we ran out of water and the whole house didn't have water. Whereas here that doesn't really happen. Like here the power might go in and out a little bit. Like we lost power every day in India, you know. But I still actually like India like a lot in a lot of ways. Do you like Vietnam so far? Are you happy with the decision you made?
Oh yeah, I love it so far. You know, I came into it with no expectations, and
It's good.
It's been very surprising. It's been very well overall.
Good. That's good.
Did you do any research before you came? Or did you just get on a plane and like you see people pushing 100 cardboard boxes and riding motorbikes with refrigerators on them?
No, I did a little bit of research, and that's how I ended up settling on Southeast Asia.
Okay. And us.
And Jay, yeah.
Working with big uncle. So I would say, would you recommend this to somebody in the States who's really grinding and working too much and stressed out and life is rough?
Yeah, I definitely would. I'd say, you know, if you're looking for a change in your life, and, you know, even just to try it out, I would say definitely go for it. You know, there's no downsides. There's really nothing to lose, you know, just give it a shot. And that's what I did. And it's been great so far.
And, you know, I'm glad to hear that because it's always good when it works out. You know, like, so I have this one client I talked about earlier, and I'm trying to help this man. I really am trying to help him. But he came out here with like no money. He's got no money, like zero, like none. Like I have to buy, I did a video with him this week, I bought him lunch after because he just has no money for food even, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but I think he was homeless in the States. I'm not sure the whole backstory.
Somewhere in Florida, and yeah, he was living in his car.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I like him. I want him to succeed. I'm doing the best I can to help him. I mean, we got him another opportunity, which is outside of Ho Chi Minh. So I'm hoping that they're a little nicer.
Well received.
The standards might be a little different.
Pretty soon it'll be in the Mekong.
Well, it's the other direction, but like it's the same idea. It kind of is already going, you know, to the provinces. But I mean, listen, this is what happens. You know, it's Southeast Asia. It's Vietnam. It's their country. They can want what they want. There's no woke here. There's no pluralism here. There's no like, oh, we should treat minorities equally. Like that's like not a concept in this part of the world. Like there's the majority, and the majority gets everything.
When I do private tutoring for kids that are going to go to school in America, I teach them about wokeness. Like you can't, you know, like they think men can have babies and things of this nature. And he looked at me, baby, how? I'm like, I know, you'll figure it out in America.
Yeah, because the mind virus has destroyed like most of our large institutions and rather than being places of learning, they become places of indoctrination. Whereas here, education is still very much like standardized and testing and pass the test. And I'm not saying that their way is necessarily better, but they don't involve like as much humanities or social things into their education. They're much more concerned with like producing the result in the most
They don't have
efficient
time.
way.
They want to eat.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like whatever math you need to be an engineer and you're done, right? And a lot of these kids are going to study in the West. And the thing is, again, it's their country. Like I think it's important to stress that you're not here to change them. You're not here to tell them what's right, what's morally wrong, like because they wouldn't listen to you anyway. Like your impact is going to be nothing. Like, you know, I used to work with a guy who was he was an old guy. He's a fat guy. He was a nice guy, but he was fat. He was kind of old. He had like a hole in his stomach because of some crazy fucking surgery. Like he could put his finger into his own stomach. Yeah, like some crazy shit. But he used to get so mad at the kids. He would, they're not getting the right British education, and hey, little naughty boys don't want to learn. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm so fucking out of my mind, like sitting there on the break, sweating, like listening to this guy, and I'm thinking to myself, like, bro, like, why do you care? Like, what are you gonna do, bro? You're gonna come to Vietnam? You're gonna change Vietnam?
Yeah.
Like, so as long as you don't have that mindset, bro, you'll be successful, you'll do well. Was there anything that you would like to tell someone who's in the same position as you that you wish you would have known before you came?
Well, the first one would be double check your visa when you come.
Tell them that story.
Okay. So I did my visa. The website for the visa for Vietnam is atrocious. I did my visa, make sure I had it well before I came back in July, and I came in August. I get here, my flight, it's a 25-hour flight. I arrive, they stamp it. I get there, I spend some time going around the city because I'm still wide awake, jet lag. And then I come back and look at my visa and notice that it expires in 2 days and it's the weekend. So, instantly I messaged you. And then, so I had to go through the whole process. You sent me to the travel agency. I had to arrange a ride to Cambodia. I had to spend, hours there waiting, and then come back. So definitely double check your visa and make sure that they didn't mess it up on the when they issue that certificate. It's in Vietnamese. You probably won't be able to read it. Just try your best to either convert it or look at those dates because, it sucks if you get here and you have to immediately leave to go get a visa run.
Well, I recommend. I went to the actual embassy in New York City. I'm from New Jersey. I went to New York City and got the visa in the embassy. That's like you can't mess up anything. They can't. You check it right there. You could change it. That would be my advice.
Sure, yeah.
It would make it a lot easier.
Did you when you were this time in Jersey or the first time you left?
5 years ago.
Okay, yeah. So you'd have to
The
check.
first time I came to
When you first came. Yeah, you guys also, if you're going to do that though, just to check to see that the price is not higher than for the e-visa, because like sometimes there's like an official price and then sometimes there's like
It was higher.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So the e-visa is through the government website, but it's an official price for like an e-visa, and then there's an official price that could be different at the embassy, and these things do change a lot. So it's always good to just maybe check on the embassy, see what they're charging, check on the e-visa, and at the time that you're thinking of coming. If you're from a Western nationality, you'll get 3 months for now, and that will allow you enough time to find the employment and to get set up. If you guys decide to work with us, you can reach me on the Facebook fan page. As you can see, my brother Scott here, he was able to benefit from us helping him find a job, and then us helping him put out a fire when his visa situation was a bit messy. We were able to get him service providers that could get him like driven to the border and get all his paperwork sorted out and get him back into Vietnam legally. It's a good country. It's just a little messy and things can go wrong here. So working with the right people is essential. If you guys enjoy this content, just take a second to hit the like button, subscribe. You'd be surprised how much just sharing the video can help us. Sometimes we speak kind of plainly and some of the things we say are not politically correct. The algorithm may not love us because, like I said, sometimes we tell it like it is. And, your little help by just sharing the videos can actually go a long way into getting us more exposure. If you find these videos helpful, we appreciate it. And I just want to leave it with you guys for any final thoughts. Big Uncle Hollywood.
I would say right now is the best time to come. They're hiring everywhere. School just started, so you'll be able to get a job quick. And just make sure you have some money in your pocket before you come. And if you want to see some videos of teaching, go to my YouTube channel, Hollywood Journey. We also got this guy on some of my videos. And that would be my two biggest things. Just make sure you have some money. You don't have no money in your pocket.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then I would also add, make sure that you're prepared when you come here for things that could go wrong. Because if you get here and you think everything's going to go perfect, or you're expecting just some utopia where everything's cheap and it's easy to do, you're most likely going to end up having a bad time. So just make sure you come in here with no expectations, ideally, and you'll end up loving it, I think.
There's a reason why everything is cheap. That's another thing people don't think about, right? Like, you are in a developing country. So on that note, I would say if you don't have money, I would rather be poor here than in the West. But then I wouldn't want to be like zero money here either. Like, that's dangerous also. So try to be responsible. Great advice Hollywood gave
Enough
there.
for 3 months, because if you get a job fast, it takes 40 days to get your first pay.
Right. Great advice Hollywood gave. Great advice Scott gave. Yeah. If you guys can think of anything that we missed and that you think is valuable for people to know, please leave it in the comments section. If you agree with what we've said tonight, please tell us. And if you disagree, please tell us in the comments section. And if you agree or don't agree, let's have a discussion about it. Thank you for watching, and stay in school.
Brush your face and wash your teeth, son.
Reborn Abroad got me a job in Vietnam.
Reborn Abroad got me a job in Vietnam.
Years later, we're still friends, so hit us up.
Reborn Abroad, they're legit. They got me a job. I'm pretty happy.
Reborn Abroad got me a job in Vietnam.
Reborn Abroad got me a job.
Brush your teeth.
Hey, what's up? I'm D from Canada. Hook up with the New York Nomad if you want a smooth ride into Vietnam or any Southeast Asian countries.
Hey, my name is Aaron. Get in contact with the New York Nomads. If you want to get into Vietnam, hit them up. They'll get you in securely and professionally.
Yo, this is Uncle Hollywood. I'm telling you right now, the New York Nomad got me a job. He's legit. Hit him up. Check him out.
New York Nomad set me up in Vietnam.
Yo, my man got me a job. Come to Vietnam.
Hey, what's up, guys? You thinking about coming to Vietnam? You're not sure where to start. You've heard a lot of things online. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. We offer a consulting service where we help you get on your feet in Vietnam. We give you advice on negotiating contracts with employers. We help you with real estate agents, visa agents that are reliable and that you can trust. We help you get started in this amazing country and get on your feet. We help you get into different opportunities that might be more difficult for you if you were just landing in the country on your own. And we help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and problems that you could have as a newcomer here. We provide you with reliable job recruiters, visa agents, real estate agents, and advice. If you guys are thinking about coming to Vietnam, hit us up for a consultation. We'll help you get started, help you get on your feet, and hopefully you'll love Vietnam as much as we do.